What's up, guys? It is Thursday, August 4th, and this video is going to be about central bank digital currencies, get an update on it, look through all the news and things that have been kind of released in the past month or two. And yeah, that's what the Daily Tea is going to be about today. So starting off, we'll look at the central bank digital currency tracker, and we can see that it's like a Christmas tree now. They're all lit up. Back when we were looking at this last year, there wasn't as many like this, and we see the colors have changed since then. Basically, the whole world is lit up. We're seeing that the power is being shifted from the west to the east with those BRICS nations that we laid out in the video yesterday, because we can see that they're much further ahead in developing their central bank digital currencies and updating their payment systems. We see Russia here already in proof of concept. We see Brazil proof of concept. We see India is like research, but I think they're launching later this year or early next year. China is already in a pilot phase. We see that South Africa in a pilot phase, right? So these countries, the BRICS countries, are further ahead. We're going to be slower to the punch, but at the end of the day, by 2025, this will be lit up and they'll all be blue because they're all going to be launched. And you can look at the technology providers here, and we know that BIT is tied up with Stellar. We see that that's not the right article. Let me see. So BIT and Stellar Foundation selected as finalists for the Global Central Bank Digital Currency Challenge right here back in late of last year. And we can see that BIT is actually just using Stellar's technology. So it's just Stellar because BIT DCMS will be integrated. Yeah, BIT's market-proven digital currency management system is integrated with Stellar and provides asset issuers like central banks certainty, safety, control with respect to their digital currency with openness and interoperability in mind. So by running BIT's DCMS on Stellar, BIT is able to offer a complete solution for monetary authorities to issue CBDCs. So Stellar is well positioned to be the public network of choice for the issuance of CBDCs. I do think Stellar will be used for smaller nations, smaller countries, if we go here to technology provider and we can go down to Stellar, we see Ukraine. We can see for BIT, we have Eastern Caribbean islands, Curacao, Nigeria, Haiti. And I do think Ripple is going to be used for bigger countries like the Americas, like Canada, Australia. I do believe that to be the case. So let's keep moving here. Now we got privately issued but regulated digital currencies that benefit, central bank says. So they're trying to decide whether the central bank will issue the digital currency or if like someone like PayPal or WeChat or like Facebook should issue one, or all of them issue their own private digital currencies, and then the central bank will just replace their back-end infrastructure to be able to handle these assets that are issued by these companies. But these companies are going to develop their own blockchains and things like that. They're going to issue their own respective digital currencies on top of another platform like Stellar, like Chain, like XRP. And we know that those assets are limited in supply. And with a bunch of companies and new kind of things being issued on top of those protocols, now you have more money flowing through a limited asset, the native asset like a XRP, XLM. And that's where the utility will drive the price up. And that comes with time. So by 2025, we should be all in full effect on this. So now let's keep going here. We got President of the ECB, Christine Lagarde, states many countries will have launched their digital currencies within 5 years. This is March 2022, the Bangor International Settlements Innovation Summit, and let's hear it.
That's sort of how we got to this point. I'll ask you at the end to look forward a little bit. 5 years' time, hopefully we're gathering together all in person for the BIS Innovation Summit. Where will the world be in terms of digital assets, in terms of central bank digital currency? If I could ask you to forecast a little into the future, where you think we're headed.
5 years' time, I would say many of us will have completed the project, will be in a position or will have launched their digital currencies. We will have done enough good work so that those currencies are convertible easily. We will have worked hard on our payment systems so that transfers and settlements can be orchestrated, organized in a safe, secure, and fast way, faster than now, both between central banks and commercial banks, but also between customers and commercial banks, and that the volume of fees and earnings by some will have declined to the benefit of better services and happier customers.
So there it is. 5 years, guys, 5 years. So why central banks got serious about digital money? Let's look into it. So money is edging towards its biggest reinvention in centuries. And this is why I keep saying about hundreds of years. This stuff you don't see for hundreds of years. We're talking about a total evolution of money and what money even means. But modern technology and even the coronavirus pandemic are pushing consumers to go cashless. And with alternative concepts like cryptocurrencies taking hold, central banks are acting quickly to ensure they don't fall behind. The goal is a payment system that is safer, more resilient, and cheaper than current options or privately launched alternatives. So Cbdcs, how they work, we're going to skip that because I'll include that in the notes of this newsletter. So unlocking digital currency, using digital currencies to unlock a continent. This is Oracle, like a week ago or a couple weeks ago. The BRICS economies were hotly tipped to reshape the global financial landscape. But Brazil and Latin America's potential has still yet to be realized. Could a new digital currency designed to work alongside local currencies unlock a wealth of cross-border opportunities? I really think that cross-border payment is the next agenda, the next frontier. World Bank's Global Director of Finance said, competitiveness and innovation during international development priorities says is to use blockchain to promote financial inclusion and faster remittance. For many business owners exporting products, it's hard to entertain the idea of having to wait weeks to be paid. But that's the situation facing entrepreneurs in Latin America. It comes down to cash flow, and there's a lot of uncertainty. You can't have transparency of where your money is and how long it will take to get paid. So it's a case of wait and see for the business owner. Now, according to Deloitte, a complete structural transformation of the Latin America economy is needed to fuel growth. The World Bank says there is enormous potential in renewable electricity, but the largest transformation may result from accelerated digitization, which could create jobs and boost financial services in the region. He wants to be a part of the transformation. It seems certain that blockchain, the revolutionary technology behind digital currencies that promises to automate transactions and transform industries, will play a key role. Definitely will. We're not going to go all through this, but they talk about Quant in here using the Overledger gateway. So Oracle does use Quant and the Overledger as an interoperability solution. See anything else? Nope. Okay, so let's keep going. So now we have the case for a digital dollar is picking up momentum. Once dismissed out of hand, the prospect of a Federal Reserve issued digital currency is beginning to gain traction with Washington policymakers. I can't even go through this article, damn. So we're going to skip this one. But I can see something right here. The Fed Chair, Lael Brainerd, called CBDCs a natural evolution in the payments arena in a speech earlier this month. She added that digital fiat could stabilize crypto markets by providing a neutral settlement layer. So remember, a neutral bridge asset, a neutral way of settling anything of value, right? So let's keep going on that. So Treasury Department banks CBDC's fears are overblown. So banks' fears that a digital dollar will cost them depositors or even make financial crises more severe are overblown, according to a new Treasury Department report. Actually, a US CBDC could strengthen financial stability, they said. See, the Fed has a new crypto knowledge top banking regulator, Michael Barr, sworn in last week as its vice chair for supervision. A former advisor to crypto cross-border payments firm Ripple, Barr will have a big impact on the design and approval of a digital dollar. They're obviously using Ripple. as well as on the US and global regulation of stablecoins, which are a driving force in most central banks' decision to build CBDCs. And going global, the BIS also had a couple of things to say about CBDCs over the past week, beginning with a call for countries to develop interoperable CBDCs that can be used across borders. So a report to the Group of 20 Richest Economies, the G20, by the BIS, World Bank, and IMF said that interoperable CBDCs could solve many cross-border payment problems, including high costs, low speeds, and improved inclusions. But it didn't call them whatever that is, suggesting that there may be room for regional interoperability as CBDCs are designed for different needs. It also called for cooperation on design at an early stage. So in the EU, the European Central Bank, President Lagarde is an early and passionate supporter of CBDCs, posted a blog post on July 13 saying that a digital euro could be an anchor for the whole payment system. So in the European Union, ECB, arguing that stablecoins and other privately issued cryptocurrencies cannot truly replicate the role of central bank money. Lagarde, an ECB executive board member, argued that CBDCs would prevent the payment sector from being dominated by a handful of private digital assets that would be prime tools for market abuse behavior. The Bank of France, meanwhile, announced that its experimentation with wholesale CBDCs, which it believes could streamline domestic and international interbank transactions, has entered a second phase. Its governor would allow the tokenization and on-chain settlement of securities as well as cross-border and cross-currency settlements. They could prevent market and liquidity fragmentation. This technology also streamlines the information flows in financial markets from trading to exchanging procedures and settlement. Cross-border, guys, they're saying all the keywords. So every country is really getting on board with this, and they have to make it interoperable. They have to issue it on a common platform to make their CBDCs work with one another. So Josh Lipsky, senior director at Atlantic Council and ex-advisor to the IMF, told CoinDesk many countries are far ahead of the United States in developing a CBDC, which I showed you on that CBDC tracker map. In the long run, delaying could put the U.S. at a disadvantage, and that's so true. All right, let's keep moving on here. So CBDCs in the Americas, implications, opportunities, and adoption. So the most enduring headline from the Beijing Winter Olympics may have nothing to do with medal counts or inspiring pursuits of athletic excellence. Instead, it could be a milestone from the latest real-world pilot of China's digital currency, which was used to make more than 2 million yuan in payments per day at the games. So this is because CBDCs have the potential to help digitize entire economies and are a powerful next step on the journey towards the Internet of Value. Ripple's vision to move money like information. So recently hosted a roundtable with CBDCs. Could mean the speakers agreed that the common goals of CBDCs are to advance financial inclusion, improve payments efficiency, and protect monetary sovereignty. So programmable payment settlement in Brazil. So an economist with the Central Bank of Brazil said his country intends its CBDC to serve as the cornerstone for a new smart payment system. So he said that Brazil will need an additional programmable technology layer to settle payments and help fill the gap. Rather than allow this layer to evolve organically or wait and see how things progress, he's confident in Brazil's commitment to proactively leading the creation of an equitable public digital currency-backed system accessible by everyone. And it talks about slow and steady in the U.S., which we know, overcoming hurdles to interoperability, which every country is suggested to do by the IMF. The ability to deploy CBDCs for more efficient cross-border payments will help knit countries and regions together. However, for CBDCs to be used in cross-border payments and connect economies in ways that foster financial inclusion, extend payment systems, and protect domestic currencies, they must first be interoperable. This is a challenge, and to say the least, will require nations and regions to agree to technology, operational, government, and legal standards. That's why the 6 CBDCs that have launched into pilot so far are focused only on domestic use cases and have bookmarked cross-border as a future opportunity. With most countries possessing different AML standards, it's challenging to match every nation's need through a single system. The vision is for a utopian system with global seamless transactions. It's possible, but there's a lot to overcome first, with AML one of the most difficult. Agreement on international standards for interoperability is critical to balance privacy expectations with fraud prevention. There is not a lot of experimentation in America with CBDC-based cross-border payments right now. There is not a lot of experimentation in America with CBDC-based cross-border payments right now, but I'm sure we'll be at the negotiating table for standards on those transactions in the future. So a promising, inclusive future with CBDCs. Successfully navigating these standards and delivering on the promise of interoperability will require sustained and deeply coordinated technology, regulatory, and political efforts across countries. Looking ahead 10 years, they believe they have progressed to the point that CBDCs will be used for a wholesale settlement. They will also drive some regional cooperation, and payments activity is less confident in retail use cases for CBDC. Yep. So Ripple's head of the public policy, Susan Friedman, expects that some form of digital currency, stablecoins, a CBDC, or both will gain prominence in the U.S. over the next decade. Given that the technical and financial capabilities of each are largely the same, it's ultimately a policy question whether private enterprise or public bodies should issue them. Whatever in the future holds for CBDCs, be it layering on smart contracts or an uptick in retail use cases, Ripple's director of business development for CBDCs reminded participants that it will arrive faster than we expect. 10 years, even 10 days, is a lifetime in this space. With partnerships in Bhutan and Palau, plus active conversations underway around the globe, Ripple's CBDC initiative is committed to supporting central banks everywhere. And they have their CBDC white paper, enabling the adoption of this technology. Big, guys. We're in the right spot. BIS, using CBDCs across borders, lessons from practical experiments. So the BIS is leading practical experiments to show how central bank digital currencies could help deliver faster, cheaper, and more transparent cross-border payments. These experiments demonstrate that common systems encompassing multiple CBDCs are operationally feasible and can bring efficiencies, yet policy, legal, governance, and economic questions remain. It's uniquely positioned to bring central banks together in the collaborative efforts that will be necessary to make further progress on this question. So we're going to dive into that. And I will not cover it in this video, but I will lay down anything that I find in here that's of very high importance. So we'll save that. And now, technology can bring central banks to another level. By joining forces, we can build a system on what we have learned. Said Augustine Carson's today. All right, so that was the head of the Bank of International Settlements there. You have the Monetary Authority of Singapore as well. So wholesale and retail central bank digital currencies are advanced payment systems, and advanced payment systems will be a part of a diverse ecosystem that best serves the public interest. Innovation is rooted in the trust in central bank money. Let's hear it. So the central bank at first, private sector, payment providers, wholesale CBDC, retail fast payment systems, multi-central bank digital currency platform, correspondent banks. You have this whole array of things, and that's what we're stepping into. So now we have CBDCs, not crypto, will be the cornerstone of a future monetary system, the Bank of International Settlements says. A 42-page chapter in the Bank for International Settlements annual economic report envisions a future where programmability and tokenization are built on top of central bank digital currencies. So I'm going to pull up that report as well too, and that is something I will save, and if I find anything huge in that, I will let you know. But this is very interesting right here. So in that vision, there's room for only some of crypto's underlying technical features like programmability and tokenization, not for cryptocurrencies themselves. Our broad conclusion is captured in the motto, anything that crypto can do, CBDCs can do better, the head of research at the BIS said. The chapter, which will be published Tuesday, ahead of the full report, identifies a number of limitations of crypto, including the lack of a stable nominal anchor in monetary policy that is a variable such as a currency peg that can be used to control price levels. Stablecoins pegged to the value of assets like sovereign currencies are the crypto's world's search for such an anchor. Stablecoins attempt to piggyback on the stability of real money issued by central banks. So it's talking about all the experiments they've done, CBDCs. India has one of the best retail fast payment systems in the world. It's called the UPI, and it's led the way in actually showing the way on how these systems will actually operate. But India has decided to go to the final step and actually roll out a retail central bank digital currency. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to find in that for sure. I'm going to share that in the chat. And then fungibility and interoperability in the digital money ecosystem. This is from the Digital Pound Foundation. So they're talking about what is fungibility and why does it matter when we consider the relationship between public and private forms of money like central bank digital currencies and stablecoins. And then what to consider for the digital euro and digital pound, what's the difference between interoperability and fungibility, and how they can increase interoperability and support fungibility to create new forms of digital money. So those are the keywords: interoperability, fungibility. If we find crypto assets that are designed to increase the way and help the payment systems be more efficient, and they support interoperability and fungibility, we know that they're probably first in line. Quant is one right here that we know. So let's keep going. So Digital Asset Series 2022, Navigating CBDC Unknowns. So key trends currently driving central bank digital currency discussions across the globe. The global pandemic, the emergence of cryptocurrencies, stablecoins have accelerated the work on CBDCs. While some nations are further ahead in their CBDC timelines than others, the UK, US, and Europe are treading carefully, paying careful attention not only to the significant advantages CBDCs promise, but to the concerns and unknowns that such a seismic change could bring. Let's see. So this is an on-demand webinar about the key trends driving central bank digital currencies across the globe, how it will impact cryptocurrencies, the role of digital identity in a world where CBDCs become the norm. And yeah, so let's see who's Ripple is on that one, Digital Pound Foundation. So that's going to be an interesting webinar. Now we got the paper $20 bills and $20 euro. I don't know if that's how you say it. But and the $50 euro are going to be replaced. So September 30th, 2022 is the last day you can use your paper notes. They have been replaced by the new polymer 20 and 50 notes. And I believe these have like blockchain encoded into it. I believe it was something like that. Yeah, see, as the paper notes are returned to the Bank of England, they are being replaced with the new polymer 20 notes featuring JMW Turner and 50 notes featuring Alan Turing. So Alan Turing was like the inventor of like the Turing complete like block consensus solution. So Turing consensus, which is blockchain. So Turing completeness and computability theory, a system of data manipulation rules, said to be Turing complete. When a computer's instruction set, a programming language, or a cellular automation is said to be Turing complete, if it can be used to simulate any Turing machine. So it has everything to do with like digitization of money, blockchain, computational power, crypto, if Turing complete systems. So that's who's going to be on their $50 bill, and that's happening late of September. So October, November, December might be interesting as far as kind of announcements, and we'll see before that point any news come out as far as UK launching. They're going to withdraw legal tender status of the paper 20 and 50 notes after the 30th of September, and they're going to move to this. Interesting stuff. Something's going on, but we'll see. Then we got IMF warns Kenyan central bank against introducing a CBDC that harms fintechs and banks. So let's see what that's all about. Keeping payment system open and competitive. The International Monetary Fund has reportedly said the Kenyan central bank's proposed digital currency should complement and not threaten the existing private sector digital money. The global lender insisted that if no safeguards are put in place, a digital currency issued by the CBK can potentially lower transaction costs to the point of driving out mobile money operators such as M-Pesa out of business. It should be complementary, not a way to harm the current infrastructure. All right, let's keep going. So digital euro needs curbs to halt lending crunch. So the economic evidence appears to support calls to cap how much central bank digital currency people can hold to stop them fleeing banks altogether. So Europeans would need to have access to a new digital euro cap to prevent significant outflow from conventional banks. 3,000 euros per person. So this is interesting, but nothing of extreme importance. We had went through this yesterday in the BRICS video, but Central Africa's regional bank urged to issue a common digital currency for its members. So regional, the merging of regional payment systems and then the whole world's payment systems was what we read earlier. I think it was the IMF or the Bank of International Settlements. So Philippines central bank governor explains crypto policy. I don't want it banned. So they're all on board. They're here. They understand cryptocurrency. They know what the technology can do, and they're gonna allow cryptocurrencies and welcome it, because if they allow it, they can then usher in their central bank digital currencies. They're just gonna put up the proper safeguards and regulations to ensure that people don't, opt in for just cryptocurrencies, that they have to use central bank digital currencies as well too. So they're going to put themselves in a better position. Russia and China officially announced a new global reserve currency. I think we went through this yesterday, but talking about international alternative mechanisms for international payments in a way to settle transactions with their respective local digital currencies and using alternative methods besides SWIFT to do that. This is the Bank of Israel. So the interministerial team to formulate a national program to increase financial inclusion report. So that's one of the key words, financial inclusion. It has to do with digitizing cash, making it central bank digital currency, increasing access to financial services by being able to access a bank right on your phone rather than having to go into the bank, right, and sign up, and they take your information. If you don't have enough money or you're in bad standing, you can't get access to financial services. But if you have access to a phone, then you have access to financial services. So that is basically what it's saying. The banking system, banking supervision, data and general information. So a whole press release on this. But we can see that things are moving. Momentum is happening, that's for sure. Now we have Barclays to host a CBDC hackathon. I think Barclays is actually a Ripple partner as well too. The hackathon will run on the 27th and 28th of September, will consist of a series of coding challenges that will simulate the use of a CBDC in commercial bank money. Let's see if there's anything else in here. So the increasing usage of CBDCs in the payments markets gives rise to the possibilities of risk and interoperability between cross-border banks. The hackathon aims to explore both the risks and solutions that emerge in the programmability of the currency, which can be used to inform and improve it. So interoperability is like their huge thing, the hugest importance they're putting on that. Bank of India now prepares to issue digital rupiah as legal tender for digital payments. Central Bank of Indonesia is working to issue a wholesale digital rupiah. The new currency is meant to be the only legal tender for digital transactions in the country, while the regulator also wants to ensure that it will be exchangeable across borders. There we go. So that's exactly what we're talking about as far as the interoperability, and as well as them issuing a wholesale digital currency. It's not something that the public will interact with, but more of the banks on their back end are using this wholesale digital currency, and it has to be convertible into other countries' wholesale digital currencies. And that's where Ripple and XRP step in. That's that neutral bridge asset that all banks across the world can hold, and they trust that asset because it's neutral. No one country is the superior being or advisory overseer of it, but they can trust it, hold it, and then they can use it for that bridge asset for when they do wholesale cross-border payments with other banks in other countries. So the Central Bank of Indonesia's monetary authority is advancing with a project to issue a digital version of the national fiat for wholesale transactions. It plans to release the conceptual design of the future rupiah by the end of 2022, and the principle will be the same as paper money, which is to be the only legal currency for digital transactions in Indonesia. So it's been studying the possible launch of its CBDC since last year. Its main intention is to get ahead of the global adoption of cryptocurrency as a payment method. The monetary authorities of other nations in the region have also been looking into implementing blockchain technologies to improve transfers and settlements, including the central banks of Philippines and Australia, which are considering wholesale digital currencies as well. Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, Republic of South Africa announced trials of cross-border payments with CBDCs last fall, and the central banks of these countries said the goal of their cooperation was to develop shared platforms for international transactions using different state-issued digital currencies. It's Ripple and XRP, I'm telling you. That's literally their platform and what it does. Same with Stellar, So Bank of Indonesia is currently exploring technology options with counterparts and working on the cybersecurity features of the digital rupiah. Once issued, the CBDC will be distributed to large banks and payment service providers, which will in turn sell digital rupiahs to smaller bank institutions for various retail transactions. Interesting. Okay, because I'll touch upon that in another video. But let's see. Okay, all right, I'm going to keep this up. So now, Digital Pound Foundation, the ECB consults experts over privacy-enhancing digital Eurotech. That's not the most important here. Probably won't find anything from this. No. All right, let's keep moving. So an historic move, Jamaica makes CBDC akin to cash. Jamaica's central bank officially recognizes a digital Jamaican dollar as legal tender, and it's the first time in history a country has passed this type of legislation. So more to come. More to come. So R3, we are thrilled that Corda is one of the technologies being used for the proof of concept with RBI's Innovation Hub. The proof of concept, supported by many of India's top lenders, will use blockchain to enhance the traceability of money flow and prevent fraud. So RBI taps top banks for blockchain-based trade finance. They're going to be replacing every single infrastructure with blockchain and a digital asset for that settlement mechanism. And that's a whole lot of money. That is a whole lot. This Deloitte report, in a conjunction with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, is about Project Ubin, but also Deloitte's DLT prototyping in general. At the end of the report, they highlight their cross-border prototypes that integrate Ripple and Stellar. So one of Deloitte's most notable prototypes in the cross-border payments application. In the current payment system ecosystem, cross-border payments are marred with expensive, uncertain transaction fees, long processing times, and often opportunity for fraud. With distributed ledger technology, the reliance on some intermediaries, such as correspondent banks and notaries, can be reduced, dramatically accelerating transaction times. In addition, DLT handles the validation, verification, and fulfillment of the payment in near real time without the need for costly fees, increasing efficiency and driving cost savings. Another key consideration is that the identity of the user making the transaction is verified, which will streamline know your customer processes and leading to greater fraud prevention. The prototype integrates Ripple and Stellar blockchain platforms to enable a person-to-person transactions across different geographies. DLT offers significant benefits to both peer-to-peer and business-to-business payments in terms of cost savings, increased efficiency, improved security. Cross-border payments have plenty of room for innovation, and the future looks bright for DLTs within this use case. Bam, right there, right there. So in our latest issue, the Central Bank of Ecuador draws upon its recent study on the payments preferences of Ecuadorians to show how the central bank is leveraging payments data to help guide policy decisions and promote non-cash payment methods. Central banks, digital currencies. All right. MoneyGram, I think we already did this. So this is the Bank of International Settlements, Bank of Israel, and Hong Kong Monetary Authority will cooperate to test a retail central bank digital currency. Project Sela will focus on two-tier retail CBDC with exposure less cyber-secure intermediaries. So traditionally, central bank money is provided to the public indirectly by the commercial banks. Even in digital payment systems, transferring funds from one end to another usually entails, even if for a short time, financial exposure of the intermediaries that are involved in the transaction. So they're testing a different way of doing this, doing a two-tier retail CBDC, and they're going to see how that goes. So major banks urge caution with European Union CBDCs plan. The European Commission should evaluate the impact of issuing a digital euro, the Institute of International Finance said. Nothing sticks out there, so we'll keep moving. So central bank preparing concept of digital manat. So Central Bank of Azerbaijan is preparing for the concept of a digital manat, country's national currency. An expert of the National Payment Systems Development Division of the Payment Systems and Settlement Department of CBA said during the summit 2022. So just more countries. Digital currency can significantly boost transition to a cashless payment environment. All right. Digital Pound Foundation. So globally connected central bank digital currencies, a pipe dream, or the future of international payments. So as central banks across the world ramp up their efforts to develop their own digital currencies, thoughts are quickly turning to how they could work in a globalized world. So it is increasingly clear that facilitating interoperability and interlinkages between the 80+ domestic CBDCs currently in development will be critical to fully realize their expected benefits. Complicating matters is the fragmented nature of the current CBDC ecosystem. Central banks are developing their own digital currencies based on different technologies, standards, and protocols. If left unaddressed, this could prevent businesses and consumers from easily making cross-border payments in the future. So serious efforts are being made to join up CBDCs across jurisdictions. The BIS is leading a number of projects aimed at bridging multiple regional CBDCs. China is progressing its trials to interlink the digital yuan with Hong Kong's faster payment system. And commercial players have joined the forces in the Regulated Liability Network initiative to build a global network for exchanging tokenized regulated liabilities such as CBDCs. So just more kind of webinars discussing this. Swift is there. Swift, yep. Capgemini, Standard Chartered. All right, let's keep going. So if we resort back, I think this was November 2021, we saw central bank digital currencies for cross-border payments. So this was a review of current experiments and ideas by the IMF. And in that, they had that proof of work wasn't going to work, that currencies based on the Federated Byzantine Agreement consensus mechanism, like XRP and XLM, which they did mention in that report, were most suitable for cross-border payment initiatives. So that was just a reminder on that. And then we have CBDCs on top of XRP right here as well too. So for some reason my sound isn't working, but this guy was saying how they're going to build everything that I've been saying basically. So that's it, guys. That's your update of central bank digital currencies, where they're at. We're going to see a lot more of it throughout the rest of this year and especially next year. So I'll see you guys in the next video.